You run a real estate company, but you're also a media and communication strategist.
All right, so I'll give you a little background. Yeah, that's very close to it.
All
So,
right.
what it is, the real estate brands,
Yes,
and
which
then
is trending these
yeah,
days.
and then
Yeah.
the real estate projects.
Yes.
But there are not a lot of creative agencies that understand the real estate industry.
Hmm.
So you find generally that real estate people don't really gravitate towards creative agencies. That's because most agencies are, their main bread and butter is FMCGs, fast moving consumer goods, telecoms and things like that, They don't have serious expertise with real estate. The reason is simple. If you think about an FMCG, for instance, think about Joy Soap.
Yeah.
Right, the average Nigerian can buy that, can afford that. Think about an MTN line, right? Average, maybe 70% of Nigerians have a SIM. Okay, but real estate is not the same. Real estate is not an FMCG, right? Real estate is actually, so FMCG is fast moving consumer goods.
Yeah.
Right?
Easy to
real estate
sell,
is actually
easy to
the opposite
buy.
of that. Real estate is a long term investment play. So because a lot of agencies are positioned to do FMCGs, stuff that everyday people can afford, they don't exactly have expertise in real estate. Because real estate is long term. The minimum real estate you see is you start thinking about 500,000 or above.
Or above, yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
we now thought, okay, you know what? I had about maybe 10, 12 years real estate experience, as well as, almost the same number of years in marketing, strategy, and branding, and PR, and media. So I thought, you know what, it'd be a nice fusion to bring all those ideas and strategies and creativity into selling real estate.
Hmm.
Do you see? So we're a real estate creative agency.
Creative agency.
Yeah.
All right. So is it safe to say, in as much as you have over 12 years experience in media and marketing consultation, your focus in your company is centered around real estate?
Yeah. So recently we pivoted to real estate. We actually have two agencies. There's the brand architect, an agency as well. That's a multi-sector. So if you're in whatever sector, because we also have experience on that. Like, we've done almost 200, brands.
Yeah.
From branding, marketing strategy, website, social media, consulting. We've done loads of those. So we have the multi-sector experience, especially with small businesses.
Okay.
And small businesses, are the bane of any economy, right? So because we have that experience, we left the brand architect open to other sectors. But Ashiri, when we set up Ashiri, it was essentially for, real estate brands and projects.
All right. So it's interesting to know that the real estate business has been existing for years, but recently there's been this buzz because one of our sponsors for this program is actually real estate company Vegas Estate, and they came on the show, and when we got feedback, everybody was like, Queen of the Mic, you're just saying wow, wow. And why I was saying wow is I'm like, Betsy, you've been dulling. So you've been spending a lot of money on vacations, you've been spending a lot of money on hairs. Like, I am very, very materialistic.
Investment.
I can't believe I just said it
Hair
on hair.
investment.
You understand? Hair investment, gadget investment. And I'm like, I was just calculating how many properties I would have had if I was more enlightened or if I was more aware of the appreciation when it comes to investing in real estate.
Absolutely.
So I want to break it down so that our listeners will understand your services. So it's one thing for you to run a real estate company, and it's another thing for you to have an agent, consultation, or consultant like you to help structure your business and gain more visibility.
Yeah.
So can you please break down the services you render, your company render?
Yeah. So generally we'll say that what we do work for real estate brands and projects. So that's essentially how we delineate the service. So the real estate brands, right? I'm sure if I mention a few, you probably know them, right? And then the real estate projects. So the brands are the parent companies, the companies that own the projects. Then there are the projects. So for instance, if I said Eco Atlantic, right? People know Eco Atlantic as a brand, but it's actually a product. Eco Atlantic itself is not a brand in itself. It's not the company that owns the project. Eco Atlantic is just a project, owned by a co-development company.
Hmm.
Do you see? A lot of people don't know a co-development company.
No,
They
I
don't.
don't.
Exactly. So you
Yeah.
see, so what we try to do is to balance both. So on one hand, there is the brand that owns the project, and then on the other hand, there's a project that is owned by the brand, which is basically a product. So think about a mother and a baby.
Yeah.
So we say to clients all the time that if your child behaves well in public, they will ask whose parents it is,
True.
right?
Yes.
If your child behaves badly, they will ask whose parent it is.
True.
Do you see? That's exactly how real estate brands and projects work. If a good real estate brand, your project will speak for you, right? Now, it's also important when they now ask whose child is this, and they say, oh, that's the mother. It's important that the mother itself has a personality.
Hmm.
Do you see?
Yes.
And we always say, that trust is the most important currency in real estate.
True.
If you think about, for anything, for any business, because we don't consult for several businesses, I say to my clients all the time that the most important currency is trust. The reason why anybody exchanges money for anything is because they trust you. As a matter of fact, every time you walk into a store and you pick one product over the other, it's because the trust quotient of that product
True.
is higher than the other one.
True.
So I'll use this example all the time. If you go into a store and you always buy close-up instead of buying Macleans, it's because you trust that close-up has said this is how they taste.
Yeah.
There's a peppery taste, the tangly taste that you like, versus a Macleans, for instance. The day close-up starts to taste like Macleans, the trust starts to drop.
True.
Then the next time you go into the store, you go and buy something else.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing with business and branding. It's exactly the same thing with real estate. The day that people stop to trust you is the day your real estate brand starts to lose value. And the day it starts to lose value is the day it starts to lose money. Because value is, money follows value, literally. So yeah, that's basically.
All right, thank you very much for those information. So if I'm a realtor and I run a real estate company, why is it important to seek your services?
It's like I've said. So our work really on a daily basis is to help companies improve their trust quotient, literally.
Including branding.
Including branding. As a matter of fact, the whole point of branding is increasing trust. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. The more trust people have in your business, the more money you make. It's really that simple. The reason why companies' stocks rises is because more people are trusting that company and putting their money in it. That's why their stock rises. The reason why companies lose money or their stock rises plummet is because more people are selling their stocks. They're losing trust. So literally, the job of any business person or any entrepreneur is to build trust. That is to increase their trust quotient on a daily basis. On every day you wake up, you ask yourself, what do I need to do? Forget about your products or your services. What do I need to do today for people to trust me more than they did yesterday? The more people can get to trust your business or trust your promise or trust your solutions, the more money that you make.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm interested in the conception and the genesis of your company, actually. All right, because your biography says, no be today, you understand, aside from oil and gas, government, security, hospitality, engineering, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So how were you able to transit from all these stages? Mm-hmm. And you're like, you know what, being there, done that, it's time we focus on real estate. Tell me about it.
Yeah, a very interesting story. So you see, so like you said, we've done a lot of these brands, a lot of these people, and then this company I used to work for, and we had a training, a leadership training for people in real estate, and one of the, and it was in Lagos Business School, free shout out. And one of the facilitators came and said he's worked in agencies for 13 years. And in his 13 years of running different agencies, no real estate company has ever come to them to say, you know what, please manage our brand. And that's how he knows that the real estate industry is not really ready to make a big bang. I know it's like a light bulb moment. And I thought to myself, it's simple. It's because they don't trust you. They don't think you have the expertise to sell land. I mean, the minimum land you find is maybe 700,000. But you're selling MTN SIM card is 200 naira. You're selling Joy Soap is 700. You know what I'm saying? So they don't trust you that you have the expertise to sell. And I thought, that's the missing link. What real estate businesses need is someone that has real estate expertise.
True.
That understands the industry and understands the people, the investors, people that put those large sums of money in those kind of investments. Because once you understand the audience, then you know what to say to them. Then you know how to attract them. So that was how it was. So it was a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, okay, that's actually the missing
Just
piece.
like that,
Pretty much. Pretty much. Exactly.
Rema.
Pretty much. I thought, okay, yeah, why not? Let's do this. And it's been very interesting. There've been very few meetings that I've walked into that my team has done presentations for in real estate that I haven't said, because we've done some pretty decent, some of the most significant projects in Africa actually. We've worked on.
So, a listener, on an average listener listening to you right now, it's sounding simple as ABC. More like, boom, I got the revenue. Boom, I started and I started having coming. How were you able to sit down and say, okay, so I'm transiting to real estate? What are the things you did? Did you have to do research? Because apart from connecting our guests to our audience, we always love them to learn from, their stories. So for someone listening that probably got to I always have ideas, but most of the time I get new ideas when I'm broke, and all of that. And sometimes I procrastinate, sometimes I'm all gingered up and all of that. But of course, there are processes to starting a new business or transiting, the whole research, branding, and all of that. So how were you able to, because before then, people knew you for probably government, hospitality, engineering, and also, how were you able to announce that we're now into real estate, come true, and let's do business? How was that transition? How did you come about the transition?
Yeah, that's an excellent question actually.
Yeah.
So, just like starting anything, right, you must do research.
True.
Right, it was easy for us because we're done branding, we're done marketing, we're done strategy, we're done PR. This was really pretty much what we're doing. The only difference is we're moving into a different sector. But the most essential ingredient for us was identifying a niche. One of my mentors says that niches are riches.
Yeah.
The more you can niche, the more riches you can make. So, for instance, I'll answer this question with another question that people usually ask. So, I tell people all the time, it's actually easier to sell luxury real estate. Everybody thinks it's
difficult.
You see?
Yeah.
It's doing a double take. How can it be easier? But let me tell you why it's easier. When I answer this question, you understand the real answer. So, think about it. Luxury real estate is maybe what? From $500,000 and above. Right? Generic real estate is maybe $1 million, $2 million. Now, if you have to sell to 200 million people, and your land, maybe your product is $1 million, do you know how many people you have to market to?
How many?
Maybe 50 million people.
That's a lot.
Or 70 million people. But if your product was 200 million naira, you don't have to market to a lot of people.
Just
because there are actually fewer people.
Yeah.
Right? So it's literally like saying, I'm trying to pick 10 balls out of a bag of 100 balls. I'm trying to pick 5 balls out of a bag of 20 balls. Do you see?
Yeah.
That's literally how easy it is to sell luxury real estate. So the first thing you must ask yourself is, who are the people that can afford my services? Who are the people that actually require this service? So if you think about branding on a general scale, a lot of people require branding. They require marketing. Every company wants marketing strategy. They want right. But, so that's maybe what? 20,000 companies in Nigeria. But real estate companies are not that much. They're not that many. So once you niche, what you do is you target your riches. It makes your riches actually come faster. So it was a very easy thing to do. I just thought to myself, you know what? There are loads and loads of multi-sector businesses, but there are not a lot of real estate businesses. And once you niche and identify that, this is a sector that I want to play in, and you do the work excellently well, which is the second thing.
Yeah.
How do you then do things differently? Right? Now, I say to a lot of clients, what most real estate companies do is business development, is lead generation. They actually don't do marketing. They actually don't do storytelling. They don't do thinking. They don't do creativity. And that's what actually stands you out as a business. So those are the things I will bring to businesses. We start to get them to think, start to tell stories. That marketing today is no longer about the product you sell, about the stories that you tell. So we help them tell compelling stories. And then, more often than not, they get success.
All right, so this your answer just brings me to the fact that I always flaunt my guests. And I think I just have the perfect guest in the studio for today, because apart from having guests to share their story and advertise what they do, I always give business tips on the show. And today, gonna be giving tips on how to make your business indispensable.
Fantastic.
So you're gonna be joining me in the conversation during the second half of the show.
Alright.
All right. So what makes your business stand out from every other brand in your industry?
Yes, I mean, one of our most major standout factor is the fact that we're able to help businesses identify their own unique selling product, unique selling proposition, right? So in an industry where you have hundreds and hundreds of projects, of real estate projects, of houses, of homes, of commercial, retail, one of our major USPs is helping people identify their USPs. Because people don't know how to identify their USPs. They don't
Very
know.
deep.
They don't know what makes them different. And if you're able to help people identify their USP, you just see their eyes light up. You just see their whole system light up, and they feel like, they always get the light bulb moment. That's superpower. That's what I like to call it.
All right, so interesting conversation. So can you share with me one of an experience you will never forget? Let's start with negative experience because, like I said, you don't. The story have just been chill. It's not like me waking up one morning. I want to start business, chill. I'm walking into offices. I'm catching up, and But I know for every business, there's always like challenges. Like
Absolutely.
I'm the queen of the mic. I host events, and all of that. I'm a celebrity MC. But when I started, it was not easy. It was really discouraging because I knew I was good. After I host an event, there's always this queue of people taking pictures. When you see someone, you're not sure if the person is a celebrity or not, but you just feel the person is a star. You want to take pictures, you want to take a card and all of that. But even with that, I used to get a lot of, negative reviews. Like, Queen of the Mic, we know you're good, but our client don't want a female MC. They just feel a female MC will not be able to get the crowd, deliver and all of that. So it was really, really discouraging because I'm like, what's the difference between a female MC and a male MC? I even used to wear agbada to host weddings and all of that. But I just realized that consistency, initially I used to even hoard my content because I felt a lot of MCs, they copy, stuff like that, till I had a contact with my Atafu, and it was like, if you keep hiding your content, how people know you exist? So I started to keep posting, and voila, today I'm like the best female MC. I'm not like, I am the best female MC in Nigeria. But when people see me now, everybody wants to jump into the whole MC thing. Bessie is cashing out and all of that. But I know it was not easy when I started. So that's back to you. What were your challenging stories or experience when you started your company?
Yeah. There are loads and loads of those stories, right? Of things that you go through as an entrepreneur, especially in an environment where it's not very business friendly.
Yeah.
But I also say to people, I've traveled quite a bit, that you can do business in Nigeria, as hard as it is. Other people that are actually doing great business in other clients, they have a lot of challenges that they experience as well. For instance, something as simple as taxes. People paying taxes in other countries that we sort of envy. When you hear what they pay in taxes, in business taxes, you will run.
You appreciate your country.
You will gladly come back to the grass that is been on your own side.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? For me, one of the most challenging things setting up business was the wait time. And I know it's something that a lot of people go through. Even just today, I was talking to a friend of mine, an entrepreneur, and she was like, what, this business is not working. I'm in debt. Should I shut this down? She didn't say, I said she should shut it down.
Wow.
Because I was like, shut this stuff down. Start afresh, reinvent. One of the biggest problems for entrepreneurs is the wait period. So you've set up a business, you've done a nice logo, you've done business cards. You said, this is just what I want to do. Then you wait month one. You're excited, plenty of ginger. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur. Everywhere you go is I'm an entrepreneur.
You even do party.
You do, yeah.
Product launch.
Then month two, the volume starts to go down a bit. Month three, you just start to wonder, are we really? Then you probably one of those people that listen to those prayers in the morning. You get fired up again. Then month 4, month 5, then you keep waiting, and then one day you start to question yourself. Am I really in the right business? I mean, if I get $1 for everybody that asks me, TM, is this all you do? Like, is it that you have other business? Is that you have like other side gigs? And I said, no, this is all I do.
Wow.
Literally is all I do. Strategy, branding, marketing, that's all I do. because they're like, this is the business that we do too. So how are we not?
So you don't have
You get
properties, you don't run shortlet apartments.
No, I don't.
You don't.
Not yet. I probably should.
You should do
because I hear it's
that.
good business.
Yes, sir, because you're
You know.
empowering people to do that, so you should do that.
You know,
as
so
well.
but I get that all the time. That
Wow.
this is all you do. I mean, how is business working for you? You know, so the wait time is very discouraging. You know, it's very hard when you've put in the work, you've put in the prayers, you've set up the team,
And nothing.
and
is
then there's no
happening.
business. Nobody is knocking on your door to say there's a
I need your
business.
service.
And it was particularly more difficult for me when I left like paid employment. So I went paid employment for a few years
When did you leave?
in real estate.
When did you leave?
So you know, in general, maybe I've had maybe 15 years experience in total. Maybe all the years I've done paid employment, maybe 4 years. I haven't done a lot of it. It's very little.
Wow.
You know, a few times I go into business, they say, "Oh no, we don't want. Oh, can I just do something? Let's just do something permanent for a few months," and then you get stuck because a few months is never enough to do the transformation that you want to do. So you find yourself spending 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. You know. So, but the last one I left in 2019.
Wow.
Before I set up Ashiri, you know, it was pretty tough because there was a long wait period of testing. It was like testing this new, you know, concept. And you know what they call proof of concept? You need a proof of concept. You need someone, you need something, you need a client, you need someone to show that your idea actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And your idea is viable. So you see people throwing away their ideas because they're like, you know, this stuff, they don't have proof of concept. But, you know, a few months later, we got our first client. It was a multinational. You know, they were paying fantastic, but it's actually one of the biggest real estate companies in the world. You know, they're in 90 locations over 200 countries. I mean, they're massive.
Wow.
And for us, that was a big boost because we thought, okay, this stuff actually works, you know. And then when that happened, it was easy to now name drop, you know. And that's one thing that also helps entrepreneurs. When you've worked with some big names and you go somewhere, you say, you know, we did work with this
it
person
helps.
or that person, you know, it helps you.
Yeah.
It helps them say, oh,
Yeah. For
you know,
these
you
people
must,
too,
you must
yeah,
learn.
it was
To
a
some
good-
extent,
yeah.
you must, you know, know what you're doing. So that helps. So that was tough. You know, waiting is always tough. But, you know, like I always say to most people, it's usually what the wait at the end, you know. So just keep waiting, keep doing what you do. You know, one of the easiest things you can do while you wait is keep developing yourself, keep honing your skills, keep getting better, and then throw out content. This is like the biggest advice. I mean, it's so easy,
Content is
but guess
key.
what? Is one of the biggest things you can do for yourself as a brand while you're waiting for that big client. You know, if I tell you how many brands I've gotten from my WhatsApp status, you won't believe it.
Same here.
Just throwing out content, you know,
Same
free
here.
content. I'll throw something out. Sometimes I will make it confusing deliberately. And this is like a big hack, right? Yeah, this is for entrepreneurs. Just make it a little confusing. Someone will ask you and say, oh, sorry, what were you trying to say here? Then you try and explain to them. Then when you explain to them, they'll not say, can you help us do it? If you know how many times I've heard, every time I hear, can you help us do it? Like, haha, worked again, right? Because that's what you sell. You're selling competence, you're selling solution, you're selling problem solving. So yeah, that was, you know, that's usually a tough thing that, you know, every entrepreneur has to go through.
Amazing. So people, if there's anything you need to go back home with, it's content is key.
Absolutely.
I used to be too
Absolutely.
comfortable. I used to be lazy to post. I used to hold my content, saying I don't want any person to copy my games. I don't want any person to copy my engagement. But I noticed the moment I became very intentional in terms of putting my content and my works out there was a lot of results, like positive results. So can you share with us your most memorable experience? I'm sure you have a couple, but there's one that whenever you just remember, you just smile. I remember we wonder, okay, why is Tolu smiling? So what's that?
So I mean, it was one of our most recent projects. It's one of the biggest projects in Nigeria. You know, I'm not even any more free shout outs. But it was interesting getting on that.
Oh, you can do a shout out. It's SME. Feel free. Yeah,
so
feel free.
so I mean, it's an Eco Atlantic. It's massive. You know, it's one of the best things to come to Eco Atlantic. You know, getting on that project was very interesting for us. You know, big company, big developer, multinational as well, and we bidded for it. What was interesting for us is we were bidding with some other multinationals, and we're a local business. We're not a multinational yet. You know, so to be able to go in a meeting and bid with giants, when you're literally just, you know, sort of standing, you're a giant within, but you know, you're still a giant within.
I mean, David
You
kills
know?
Goliath.
You know what I mean? Which is it's interesting that you say that, because you know what I always say to people when they say they're small companies? I say, in every David and Goliath story, David still wins.
Mm-hmm.
That story has not been rewritten.
And he wasn't a
So
giant.
it's okay to be a David, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually fantastic that you say that. So yeah, it was interesting getting into that bidding war, and when we were done with our presentation, the person that invited us to the presentation said she was running around that room and said, "Who are you people?" It was interesting to be able to. It was like a burst of creative energy, for our team. Just getting into that, digging into it, pulling out the story, and just telling the story. That's always interesting to do. We've done a couple of those, but yeah.
All right,
that
so
was very interesting.
All right, so back to your services. Which is your most
So after?
sought after? Yes.
Yeah, it'll be strategy.
Okay.
And that's usually where we start. The first question is always, what are you trying to do? Because as easy as that question sounds, it's the most difficult question. Because sometimes people are doing what they shouldn't be doing. Sometimes people don't even know what they're doing, right? Other times people don't know what they should be doing. They're doing something, and because it's worked before, they feel they should keep doing that. So strategy is basically saying this is what you should be doing, and this is how you should be doing it. So strategy formulation and strategy execution is like, our most sort of after service. And I mean, I love to do that for free. And it's one of the things I like to do for free, but it's what I get, paid the most for, yeah.
Amazing. So what's the process? How do people, seek your services? Do they book an appointment? Do they send a DM, an email?
Yeah.
Run us through the process
Yeah,
of
pretty much any of those things work. Send a DM on Instagram, Ashiri Media. Send a WhatsApp message, send an email, go to our website. We have a contact form. So usually we'll do what we call a discovery call. Usually like a 30 minutes free discovery call, because we get paid to do strategy sessions. So we don't. So we'll do you a 30 minutes strat session just
For
to help
free?
you. Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Just to help you identify what your issues are and if we're a right fit. Because again, we render premium service, so we don't really do work with everybody. There are people that will say, let's recommend someone for you, or let's give this a few months. Just a nice way of saying, we can't do business with you. It's also important.
Okay, so from the beginning of our conversation, we've been hearing luxury, premium,
Yes.
big brands and big names, and some of our listeners will be like, "Oh, tempting to get his services, but obviously we can't afford him. We can afford him. He sounds like he charges in millions of dollars and euros and pounds. But can we have an idea of what your rate card looks
We
like?"
don't charge millions of dollars yet, so I mean,
Okay.
primarily. So for us, I mean, and it's part of the advice I give to people. If you have to think about buying something, you probably can't afford it, and if you can't afford it, you probably just leave it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, a long time ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago, people say, "Oh, you're expensive." I say, "No, we're not expensive." But when you've done business for a while, it's so easy. You tell them, "Yeah, we're affordable. We're not cheap, but we're affordable." And affordable is relative.
Yes.
So it's just a nice way of saying, when they say, people say, your rates are high.
You get
say, no,
value of what
our
you're
rates are
going
not
to
high. You just can't afford it. But it's just, above your budget.
Yeah.
We're very happy to say that.
Yeah.
So, while I do a lot of free strat sessions, I do loads and loads of those. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do in the world.
Amazing.
But it's also something I enjoy to do, just helping people dimension.
Amazing.
So affordability is never an issue for us in that sense. So people that can afford us, we do for free. We'd rather do for free than do for cheap.
So I can come
You
for
see?
free
Oh,
for.
by all means. By all
Oh,
means.
nice!
Oh,
Did you hear, guys? You
Yeah.
promised
And I'm happy
live
to
on
do
radio.
I'm happy to do 5 other businesses that you pick.
Nice.
I'm happy to do that, yeah.
Nice.
Always happy to do that.
Amazing.
So it's not a question of if you're able to afford. So if you're not able to, and then it's on per business basis as well. Some people require $100,000 service. Some people require $250,000 service. Some people require, $10,000
So let's be
service.
clear on
Yeah.
this. For the strategic session and
Yeah.
all of that, it has to be real estate.
No.
Or
not at all.
generally.
Yes.
Please,
It'll
can
be-
we clear the
It'll be
air on
multi-industry,
that?
yeah. So it will be multi-industry,
Okay.
because problems are problems, right?
Yes.
With businesses.
Yes, and it can work.
And it can work,
Yeah.
multi-industry. And we
Yeah.
have a 50 questionnaire, a 50-point questionnaire that we usually administer.
So this goes to
By the
general
time-
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
and
So by the time we ask you those 50, there is no one that we have sent those questions that didn't come back and say, this just made me rethink my business. There's absolutely nobody that looks at our questionnaire and doesn't come back and say, "Oh, well, this is a difference."
Yeah.
And it's something one of my mentors taught me. One of the important things you ever do for yourself as a business is ask the right questions.
Sure.
If you can't ask the right questions, you would never get, the right solutions. So asking the right questions is key for us, and that's where we usually start from. So yeah.
Amazing. So before we call it a wrap, like I said, I'm going to be giving tips on how to make your business indispensable. Of course, I'm not a business developer, or I'm not into business consultation, but of course, as an OEPM producer, we're known as doing our research. But since I have you, the business guru in the studio, we're just going to pick your brains, and I'm just going to, you state the highlights and you just briefly give your own contribution regarding that. Something simple, and also 5 tips on how to make your business indispensable. So 1 is unique value proposition. Develop a clear and compelling value proposition that sets your business apart from competitors, addressing a specific customer need or problem.
Fantastic. I like the 2 words, clear, as clarity.
Yeah.
So that's what we actually call our session, clarity sessions.
Yeah.
Because what I say about clarity is, if you're driving and you can only see 100 meters ahead of you, you'll never be able to run further than 100 meters. If you're driving and you can see 10,000 kilometers ahead of you, you can run faster.
Yeah.
So the clearer you are about your business, the faster you can run, the more momentum you can gain. So that's amazing. And sometimes it's not just finding out what to do differently. As a matter of fact, it's always how you do it more than what you do. Sometimes that's all you need to do. So everybody can be selling hair. But how do you sell your hair? Is what will stand you out. Not really because what color of hair do you want to sell that nobody has sold before?
True.
Do you see? This is one of the questions we get all the time, that everybody's doing this business.
Yeah.
So it's not just the what, it's the how. I can say, if I wanted to start selling hair today, I will sell it the way anybody has never sold it before. I will sell it in such a way that people say, is it hair that's selling? Do you get what I'm saying?
Is it not the same hair?
Is that you see? So that's sometimes what you need to stand out. The how. Right, your methodology,
Amazing. Exceptional customer service.
Let's not get started with that. It's one of the biggest problems with business in Nigeria. Nigerians don't understand customer service. Recently, I bought a product in the UK. Something to write on the board. I tell these stories because I just feel stories are easier to remember.
To relate.
So I bought this thing. I'm supposed to come with a white chalk, and my white chalk wasn't writing. I went on Amazon and left a review. Said, my chalk isn't writing. I got a text message. I got a phone call. I got a replacement.
Wow.
I got a handwritten note by the what do they call this? The brand, the company. What do they call them? The vendor. I got that. Those 4 things: an SMS, a phone call, a replacement, then a handwritten note. This thing was maybe what, £5. So the amount of money was actually negligible, but that's how much they want. Now I went back, obviously went on Amazon, and gave them glowing reviews, and said, guys, you just blew. I'm saying handwritten notes from the seller to say, we're sorry your penny didn't write. I mean, how many years in Nigeria?
We have a long way.
So you see what I'm saying? Let's not get started.
All right, continuous innovations. Stay ahead by continuously innovating products, services, or processes to meet evolving market demands and demonstrate your commitment to improvement.
Absolutely. It's called, in Japanese, it's called Kaizen.
Okay.
And the concept is you must constantly evolve. So I always say evolve or die. There are only 2 options with your business. You're either evolving or you're dying. There's no middle point. Every day you wake up, you must ask yourself, am I doing things well? How can I do this better? There's always a better way to do things. Simple story again. They asked Ford, where did you get the idea, the concept of designing a car? And he said, that if you had asked people back then, what they wanted, they would have said they wanted faster horses. Because the highest anybody could think is, the faster my horse can go, the faster I get to where I'm going to. Nobody thought of something with 4 wheels, a metal object. Do you see what I'm saying? That's how innovation works. So sometimes it's not even to ask people what they want, it's to ask, what's the future of this thing? So it's absolutely important.
Amazing. Build relationships. This is key. Cultivate strong relationship with customers, suppliers, and partnership, fostering trust and collaborating that contribute to your business.
No business can succeed without building right relationships.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, people don't know how powerful relationships are. Every single growth level is built on relationships.
Very true.
You can never be anything without relationships.
Very true.
So you must be very careful with those relationships.
Very true. Because I hosted an event on Sunday and I put on my status and I'm like, amazing clients. She's actually a returning client for close to 10 years.
Wow.
And she still had my contact. We still keep in touch. I hosted her first son's 10-year-old second born, and now the third. And I'm like, wow. And when I saw them on Sunday, I was feeling old because like, they're all tall and all big. And I'm like, and this woman, kept in touch, and we kept the relationship for a while. So relationship is very key. Money is not everything. Relationship is key, and it keeps, your business and your brand growing. And last but not the least, consistent quality in product and services.
Quality control.
Yes, to deliver high quality offerings to establish a reputation for your reliability and excellence to sustain your business. So do not drop the standard. You can always keep making it better.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
You want to say something? Are you sure? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Tolu Moyan. It's been an amazing, interesting conversation.